Bonjour.
I'm a little bit curious. I mean, you joined the team and then you leave twice to go play with Canada. How complicated is it for you to sort of get the feel of the team when you have to leave twice for 2 weeks? Is it hard to adapt to a new environment in this sort of conditions?
It's definitely not easy. It throws a wrench kind of in the plans and in terms of building chemistry. Just those 2 weeks of not only playing games but also training together, being around each other. All those days definitely affects things. At this point, though, I think the more important one was probably in the middle of preseason when we left. That was a bit more of a difficult one, just because you're kind of going through the phases of everyone's trying to learn and get on the same page, and missing 2 weeks out of a 5-week preseason period is really difficult, especially coming into a new environment. But yeah, no, it is what it is. The guys have been great in terms of, just bringing me into the group, and it's not too big of a difference. And it's also nice that we play a pretty similar style of soccer with Canada, with the national team, and with Montreal, so it's not too big of a difference. But no, it's always exciting to come back. It's always exciting being with the national team, and coming back and getting back with the group, the guys here, and going out and playing games.
Up next, Herb Zurkowski.
Thanks, Patrick. Hello, Alistair. Hope you're well, and thanks for your time. I know we're here today to talk about your MLS team, but it's very hard not to talk about what you were just through, and if you can just put it into perspective. I would ask you if you had any sense of what was going on in this country, but of course the fact that you clinched in Toronto probably put things into perspective. But can you, I mean, just what has this whole experience meant to you, and if you can just talk about the way soccer has now just engulfed this country?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think since I joined the program, I joined it beginning of 2021. You go to your first game, and there's no fans in the stands. There's not much media attention on it at all. And it just kind of felt like we were almost playing, almost a preseason game. It kind of felt like, but with your national team, compared to where it is now these past couple of months, it's night and day. You can just see it, social media, all over. I'm getting recognized, but not just as a player from Montreal, but as a Canadian national team player. There's so many more fans. You see people wearing national team gear everywhere now, and I think it's just been really cool that we're finally at the point where our program is something that fans from this country can be proud of. You don't have to kind of be a closet Canada soccer fan anymore. You can really be loud and proud about it. And, with how well our women's team's done over this past decade, and especially this past year as well. And now the men's program's also kind of pushing the limits, going to a World Cup. I think it's just another step in the right direction for just soccer in this country. So yeah, no, trust me, I felt it. Just the scenes in Jamaica, when we played Jamaica, in Toronto, just from minute one, you could just sense the excitement when we pulled into the stadium, the flares going off. There was thousands of people there an hour and a half before kickoff, cheering us, just walking in. You can really just sense, it's not just a soccer game anymore. It's something bigger than that. So we felt that as players, and even here at club, everyone's been so supportive and excited for the national team, because we know, the national team does well. It only brings more interest to both the MLS and the CPL, for example. They go hand in hand. So it's massive to be competing at such a high level in the national team. And now we also need to be doing that here. We want to be playing at a high level here in Montreal to really, not only continue to grow that interest, but, push it to new heights. That's kind of the plan.
Jérémy Filosa qui affiche fièrement ses couleurs. He has a question for you.
There you go.
Hey, there you go. I got my shirt on today. So,
lovely.
Alistair, I'd like to ask you about John Herdman's comments. Obviously, you've heard about them, you've read them. Him coming out publicly and saying that he'd like to see you and Kamal move to Europe at some point in time. I know some fans are like, these guys just got here, especially yourself. You've only been here a few months. How do you react to that? And, do people need to take that in the wrong way, meaning that, the level here is not high enough, or how do you see it?
I look at kind of comment like that. Everyone has an agenda, obviously. John, being a national team coach, he wants his players playing at the highest level possible. And I think it's been nice that, when we show up to these national team camps that, we're sharing the same field as guys like Jonathan David, Alfonso Davies, and, guys like myself, Kamal Miller, Ismail Kone, for example. We don't look out of place out there. And I think that's something that, that whole Canadian coaching staff then looks at, especially with some of them who've played over in Europe and have experience over there. And they go, you know what, like, there's no reason why someone, who can hold their own out here and compete at this high level with these guys with the national team can't be playing at a higher level necessarily with club. But at the same time, is the MLS is a really good league. It's a really tough league. I think a lot of people underestimate how strong of a league it is. And also for myself right now, getting consistent minutes is really important because I want to grow as a player. I need to get better. There's so many areas of my game that I want to improve. And I'm at a great club right now in order to do that. So, Montreal's given me such a great opportunity in order to, play consistent minutes and really grow and play different positions, which has been really important. So I understand exactly where John's coming from because he sees it from that aspect is, look, yeah, Jonathan David's out there and Kamal Miller can handle him. So why can't Kamal Miller play at a higher level? But at the same time is, there's lots of different factors that go into that. But also he's trying to push that, look, this isn't Canada of 10 years ago where, maybe there was one or two players overseas in smaller leagues. This is now a Canadian national team that has the ability and the quality within this player pool to qualify for a World Cup. And not only that, but hopefully compete at a World Cup. There should be players playing at the highest level. You look at some of the other teams. I just look at some of the other, European, some of the African nations, and you go through their starting 11s, and some of the clubs that these guys are at, it is unbelievable. Then you look at us, on paper, some people be like, you know what, when you compare clubs to club for each player, maybe it is a bit of a mismatch to the other team. But when we get out there, we feel completely comfortable and, no one can really notice that difference. So we all feel really comfortable in our abilities to play at whatever levels needed. So if that time does come in the future, I'd love to get the opportunity to potentially play overseas, but really excited right now. Montreal spent big money to go get me, put a lot of faith in me, and I want to continue to grow and repay that.
Gavino DeFalco.
Thank you, Pat. Hi, Alistair. Alistair, just want to talk about the defense right now. You conceded 6 goals in the last 2 games, but surprisingly, you scored 7 goals without players like Vela. You don't have Chicharito in your lineup, and you still have 7 goals in your last 2 games, which is most surprisingly. You conceded 6 goals, or you scored 7 goals?
We might not have a Carlos Vela or a Chicharito, but we got some players. I'll tell you what, Georgi Mihailovic is going to be a dark horse for MVP, I think, this year. And I think we need to start that narrative early because I know that often in those MLS MVP votings and stuff like that, it's a lot about a narrative. And I think Georgie has got all the quality. And, just because he's playing in Montreal, a lot of those big media outlets, the MLS especially, likes to kind of forget about us up here. But I'll tell you what, his stats this year, like it was last year, are going to be unbelievable. You just watch the game, you can see that he's playing at a different level than everyone else in the field. So I think when you have a guy like that has a back line, it definitely takes some pressure off because he can create against whoever you're playing against, and that goes for everyone up there. Kai had a great game, Kamara, and we got some dangerous players, Torres, Lapalainen, and obviously Kyoto coming back will be nice. But yeah, it's been frustrating. I think definitely the most surprising thing is how many goals we conceded. And they've just been silly goals. And that's been probably the most frustrating thing is, I look back on those ones and it's just simple little mental errors that we're making. And, we're not then just stopping it, or we continue to make one little error and then it's a snowball effect, and all of a sudden it's another little error, bam, 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 and it just feels like everything's going against us. I'd be curious to see the expected XG that we're conceding, because it just feels like any little half chance it's going in the back of the net right now, or it's being called a penalty. But that's how it is. So we gotta play through that. We'll get better, we know that, and it starts with that next game in Red Bull. But no, it's been great. Not often are you going to have teams, your offense scoring 4 goals a game. So we really need to, as a back line, be better in terms of, we keep a clean sheet. We concede 1 goal. We're going to be in a great chance to win games with our offense, with how it's firing right now. So we need to keep, we need to do a better job at the back and just keep helping those guys up front, because they're currently taking care of business for us.
I think there's one last for you, David, again.
Hi again. You did mention you played a lot of games. You went through highs with Canada. When all this has been said and done, did it come with sort of a hangover afterwards? If you know what I mean.
Yeah, of course. You know, especially after clinching against Jamaica and Toronto, there's definitely some partying. There's the emotional high, the relief of finally getting that over the line. You know, we've been talked about for so many months now that we're so close, you know, leading the table. But to finally officially clinch your spot to Qatar, it really was a relief. And yeah, it does take a lot out of you. You know, us as a whole player group, we've put so much into that over these past, you know, what has it been now, 18 months kind of, just going at it, playing in some really difficult places, really difficult games, and finally get that over the line. It definitely was a relief, and kind of, you know, you can come back down to earth a little bit. And yeah, there is a little bit of a hangover for sure. But I think we got most of that out of the way in Panama. We had to play again right after that, 3 days later. Nice, another long road trip down to Central America and play another tough opponent. So for me, it's out there now. It's out of the system. So it's just about, you know, getting back to that level of keeping clean sheets here with the club and focusing on that. You know, we have a nice couple months now before the next international break to really get some momentum here. And there was no better way than to start on the road there with Cincinnati and getting a big result. And hopefully we can build on that. You know, we're really excited to come home and play at Stade Saputo. It's been a while since we've played on grass and we've played at home. So I know everyone's excited about that. So yeah, it'll be hopefully a good couple months, and we can focus on, you know, picking up some results and climbing the table.